business, councillors? And are there any changes to the agenda? If they're not, I have a motion that was put forward by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Durley, that the agenda for the March 17th, 2014 regular meeting of Policy and Priorities Committee be adopted as circulated. Call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. Our first order of business is part of our regular policy review. Oh, pardon me. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any issues of pecuniary conflict? And I'll try to say that again.
You say it 3 times in a row. None, Mr.
Is there any
Chair.
disclosure of pecuniary interest?
None, Mr.
I see.
Just don't say
Madam Clerk, could you please record that?
Thank you.
With the exception of my, okay, as part of our regular policy review, I present to you a motion by Councillor Papp, seconded by Councillor Lane, that the issue summary report Pelham Distribution System Quality Management System Policy be received and the following recommendation be approved. That Policy and Priorities Committee recommend to Council that Policy S701-01 for the Pelham Distribution System Quality Management System be approved, and that Pelham Distribution System Quality Management System Policy CIS/10 be repealed. Discussion. No discussion. Call a question. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Second order of business, a motion by Councillor Lane, seconded by Councillor Papp, that the issue summary report neighborhood traffic management policy be received, and that Policy and Priorities Committee recommend to Council that Policy S701-02 neighborhood traffic management policy be approved, and that neighborhood traffic management policy P700-01 be repealed. Discussion. Councilor Tribbiak.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In the certainly the recent past, and probably beyond that, discussions of traffic issues have involved groups, committees, individuals from the neighborhoods involved, and it seemed that there was a lot of value given to the discussions of those issues by the involvement of those individuals. And I'm wondering whether it wouldn't be wise to adopt a policy that actually includes an opportunity more formally for resident involvement in these issues. There's none specifically indicated within the policy. It's not prohibited, of course, in terms of putting together reports, but I'm wondering whether you wouldn't consider that that might be a valuable addition to our policy.
Do you have a proposed amendment, or would you like to hear from the director with respect to that?
I would like to hear from the director, Mr. Chair. If there's no specific objection to it, then I think I would consider an amendment to this, but I would like to hear.
Mr. Director, could you speak to that, please?
Yes, the procedure that accompanies the policy includes that allowance for, and that's part of it. It actually is the major part of it, the interaction with the public. The interested residents in the neighborhood apply through by way of petition to have a neighborhood traffic management study completed. They establish a committee of themselves. We meet with a member of Pelham Active Transportation, also sits on that committee, again, as part of the procedure, and there's a staff person also on it. We're currently working through 2 of those processes right now. Recommendations will come forward to council at the end of it all, based on the conclusions of those.
So, in summary, Mr. Mantle, the much of the old policy that was passed in 2012 will now be encased in the procedure that would be attached to enforce or guide the policy, be driven by the policy.
That's correct. I think in the report it states that the previous policy also was the procedure too. It was fairly detailed. There was a number of pages to it. It was just simply a step-by-step process of working our way through it, and we've been using that for these two processes we're working through right now.
Thank you. Counselor, does that satisfy your concerns?
I'm satisfied that there's a great deal of opportunity given by the procedure for involvement. It doesn't satisfy me that it's not in our policy, that we as council aren't giving that direction, and therefore is less powerful. And I'm just wondering whether the problem mightn't be solved by not so much adding to the solution statement, but rather to the key facts, that our procedure involves the neighborhood or residents in determining the best possible solution. I'm just wondering whether if there isn't a consensus within council to support that, I would understand it, because I know that we do it. But I'm just wondering whether we, setting the policy, wouldn't be wiser and perhaps more consistent with our own values by putting that into the policy as well.
Can you put forward some wording that you would suggest?
Again, I think a place to put it might be in key facts, and that one of the key facts is that we involve our residents in the development of solution to traffic issues.
Thank you. Councilor Papp and Mr. Mayor.
Well, I'm just thinking, picking up Councilor Ribbiak, I thought that's what was implied under decision-making. The policy allows the affected neighborhood to be involved. I just took that and read that they would be involved. And involved being described, being prescriptive, whatever the procedure states, and how that's gonna happen, as Mr. Mano pointed out. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's the way I read it, that they would be involved. But if we want to, if you want to make it more succinct, I'm perfectly okay with that too.
No,
It doesn't matter to me.
I'm satisfied that our intent would be there. I don't know how I missed that, but I did, and I apologize for taking up your time.
Oh, no.
But I do.
Good point.
No, but I did want that in there, and I see that there is sufficient coverage for that in the policy stated, so I'm fine. I'm good.
Mr. Mayor, did you want to speak to it?
Just maybe to build on that, and I think it's the word allows. The policy allows affected neighborhoods, so it doesn't mandate it, it doesn't make it mandatory. And I'm just looking for an answer from Mr. Mantle as to why. So I guess in some situations, it would be the natural thing to do, and in others, it wouldn't. So can we just hear maybe that distinction?
Mr. Mantle?
I think in this case, allows meant that we would be including them. Again, that was part of the original procedure, and it could be just the wording from that original procedure. That was the intent.
So the intent is regardless of, whatever we're putting in, whether it's stop signs, pavement markings, speeding, traffic, etc., we will involve affected neighborhoods. So maybe we need to be a little bit more forceful and say this policy involves the affected neighborhood with staff and the decision-making process, something like that. And then I guess the only other thing that I was thinking, although Councillor Ribbiak has said that maybe it's fine the way it is, it could be an addition to say aggressive behavior, so that in a manner that is defensible, traceable, effective, efficient, and that will involve affected neighbors would probably answer and make it crystal clear. So something like that.
Councillor Durley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that, in my experience on this council, that 99.987% of the issues that have come forward dealing with neighborhood traffic management have been brought forward by the public. So, it to me is the policy allows the public. It certainly, we're open to a suggestion. There seems to be a problem here where you look at it, town, and I think this is the utmost of involvement from the public. So, that starts it, and then certainly we respond by saying this is the action we're going to take, and certainly we get input from that. So, really, I think our practice has been doing it, and I think the wording is perfect. Like we normally don't go about anything traffic management unless it's brought to the attention of our staff. And at that particular point in time, the concerns are done. So the public is the actual catalyst in bringing forward the change that's necessary.
Thank you. Is there anyone that's prepared to bring forward a motion to amend this policy as presented? If not, then we should move on and call a question.
I do have a question, not related exactly to what was discussed, Mr.
Go ahead,
Chair.
Mr. Mayor.
My question is, there are two, I'll call them policy committees or neighborhood committees that are active right now. We are urgently awaiting their reports, and they are on Hay Street North and Pancake, I'll say West. By adopting this, does this in any way, shape, or form affect the work that's being done there?
Mr. Mantle.
No, it does not. Again, we're following the same procedure as in the past, so it'll be exactly the same. They'll continue on as they are right now.
Okay, that's excellent, and I think perhaps staff should ensure that they communicate that with those that are involved. They might read in the paper that we changed the policy. I don't know if the paper's gonna cover it or not. He doesn't have pen to paper. But they might read that we are changing the policy, and they might ask, how does it affect them? So it doesn't, so that's good to hear. Thank you.
If no one's prepared to make an amendment, I'm going to call a question. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. A motion by Councillor Durley, seconded by Councillor King, that this regular meeting of Policy and Priorities Committee be adjourned until the next regular committee scheduled for Monday, April 7th, 2014, unless sooner called by the mayor. All those in favor? Opposed? This meeting is adjourned. Good luck.